Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel for another Sundance 2022 interview. This one is with the fine folks behind Master, Mariama, Regina, Zoe. Hello, and congratulations to all of you.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
So happy for you guys. So first, with a festival screening, many of our viewers will not know much about your movie, just yet at least. So Mariama, would you mind doing the honors and giving everyone a synopsis of Master?
Sure. Let me try to be as concise as possible because I can be a little bit, wordy if I let myself. But Master, it's set at the fictional Ancaster College, which is a Northeastern very elite institution. The town that the school is in, it goes all the way back to the Salem-era. And when we start the film, we meet Gail Bishop, who is played by Regina Hall. And Gail has just been promoted to a new position of master, which is basically like headmaster or more like a dean of students, because there are several masters in the college. And this is a prestigious position, but it comes with, as you can imagine, a lot of baggage and a lot of responsibilities. One of Gail's responsibilities is to look after the freshmen who live in the house, the residence house, one of them being Jasmine Moore, who's played by Zoe Renee. And Jasmine, unfortunately, is assigned a dorm room that, according to the legend of the school, is haunted. This is, just makes life a little bit unpleasant for her, and things only get that much more complicated as we get deeper into the semester.
I feel like I was also using that synopsis to figure out how far I can go in explaining plot points without teetering into spoiler territory. Very helpful. Thank you. This is also your feature directorial debut, which is a very big deal. Getting a first feature off the ground is not easy whatsoever. So what do you think was the key to getting the green light, whether it was a past credit, a person you met, a piece of financing, you name it?
It was, thank you, first of all, because it was very hard. And there was certainly a point where I just couldn't tell how to make it happen. I had been writing for years and years and just for fun, but I felt very, very outside of the film industry. But the thing that I think really made the difference for me is that on, the smallest scale, on the scale that I could manage, I started to create. And so I made a couple of short films. I made a short film called Sketch, and then I made a short film called Hair Wolf, where I kind of tried to apply the lessons that I had learned from the first one and, strengthen the film. And that short was lucky enough to get traction and, play at festivals like Sundance. And that's really what allowed me to, start walking into meetings and saying, well, I do have this script. I had, Master was the most recent script that I had written, but I was in this phase at that time for like a few years where I was writing constantly. So I had actually a lot of scripts. Master was the one that I liked the most. But the timing just worked out that I had the story that I really loved. I hadn't yet fallen out of love with it, which happens to me sometimes with some of the scripts I write. You write it thinking it's going to be brilliant, and then you get to the end and you're like, I can never show my face again. But this one, I never stopped loving it. And so that felt like a sign. And then I got to actually, meet people who could help me make it, which is how I met my producers at Animal Kingdom.
I love hearing that so much. All right, Regina. So I was busy scrolling through your IMDb, and it caught my eye that you've got Master and also Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul next. Both are feature directorial debuts for their directors. So it was just making me wonder, is working with new creators a priority for you right now? And then also, what is it about Mariama that made you say, this right here is a person that I should be taking a chance on?
I think there's just so much incredible talent out there that, I've always honored to be able to work with and support in any way I can. And, it's exciting when you're able to do that. So I think reading Mariama's work and then meeting her in person, I thought she was just incredibly smart, incredibly wise, her enthusiasm. I thought she was so creative. And, that was exciting to me. It's really exciting. And I think, when rare opportunities come and your gut is like, this person is really special, you have to like honor that, because it's, in a way, it's divine. And so it's like, it's a weird thing when you decide to say yes, because you don't know what's come before you. And like, for me, I never think of like a role first or second. I think what third for you, it's like when you and that person meet and you say yes, then it all makes sense. And you're like, oh yes, I'm supposed to, and it on so many levels. And I learned a lot from her working on this. And I think she's so incredible. And I think, the world of film, the world of cinema, television, whatever, we're really blessed to have her. And of course, it's wonderful when you meet talented women, you know what I mean? And it's like, just to have, we had a female director, we have a female DP, shout out to Charlotte, and then a script that's centered around women. And, to have a script that's centered around women, it's very smart. And to have dynamics of race and gender be so intelligently and wisely and entertainingly explored. I mean, it was just kind of a no-brainer. So I really feel excited by Mariama and by Adama. So it's, I got lucky.
I feel like those gut reactions and those types of connections are what so many of the gems that we get in this industry are built on, rather than, like a piece of paper with a list of things that you would expect in order to, commit to something like that. So right. I applaud that very, very much. So Zoe, this is, I believe it's your second feature film in a lead role. So looking back, is there anything that you were able to do on Master that you can credit to lessons learned while making Jen?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, I think that with Jen, we shot for 1 month in LA, pretty guerrilla style. We kind of just picked up the camera and went. I think the ability to kind of release anything that I thought that I would go into my day with. I learned on Jen to just release expectations, go into it honest, and put the character and the work that we've done first, and stop trying to be so perfect at everything, and just kind of allow the story to speak and my castmates to speak to me, and to allow real and honest moments to happen. I think Jen probably taught me that the most.
Definitely shines through. You're talking to a perfectionist. I understand that too well, but the earnestness in your work here is just spot on. Congratulations on that. So, Regina, clearly I'm very obsessed with Scream, so probably comes as no surprise that I watched the Scary Movie franchise quite a bit, and it has made me wonder, as someone who's been part of, a long-running horror spoof series, how has that influenced how you felt about genre in general? Because, if I have my titles right, I feel like Master might mark your first non-spoof horror movie, or I guess When the Bow Breaks counts, but it's a little more in the thriller territory, I guess.
Yeah. Gosh, I don't. I love all genres when they're done well. So I felt really lucky to be doing the spoof genre with the Wayans, because I feel like Keenan really understood it, and I loved Scream too. I actually watched it. So it feels great. And to do this, it's so, the way I think Mariama wrote the script and the way she directed it, it's so grounded and it's so real. And there are things obviously that are suspended, but it's like, whatever world you're getting to in whatever genre, it's really real. As crazy as it sounds, Brenda was really real. Like, you aren't playing the parody. You're not playing the horror. It's just like you kind of go into this world, you go into these characters, you go into these relationships. And what's great about having a director, and a really good director, and a director like Mariama, is she's watching the monitor and she's watching your performance and she's fine tuning it and helping you create nuances that, are so subtle, and giving you kind of the opportunity to do it until it clicks. And so I think, I feel really blessed, but we won't be parodied. Gail, imagine Brenda parodying Gail. But no, I think it's I don't know, maybe Brenda's a professor. I think I was a teacher by the last one. But I think I think it's so wonderful to be able to I love how movies navigate across so many genres, and I love that someone like you can appreciate one to the other to the next, and different generations. And I don't know, I find it to be quite entertaining to play and challenging, but fun.
Speaking of that, Mariama, it almost feels like an unfair question, but it's also something that I think would highlight one of my favorite qualities of this film. Can you put this in a genre for our viewers?
So at the beginning of the process of writing the film and talking to people about it, I always described it as a spooky drama. That is the made up genre that I would place this in. I think that, at its core, there's this, intense, dramatic, story going on. And that's really what girds the entire thing. But it's horrific, that's also true. I would call it a horror film as well. I think that horror, our understanding of it, it's constantly in flux, and there are horror films that might seem, that they don't belong in the same category, that this film doesn't belong in the same category as them. But then there are other ones that I think that, this lives, within, alongside them. So I think that, I think I would call it a horror film, since spooky drama is a made-up term.
This is why I've fallen into the habit of saying genre instead of horror, because then everything can be included. So Zoe, you get to work with a pretty incredible ensemble here. Just so we could highlight maybe a couple of names, are there any instances where, I don't know, maybe you were having a tough time accessing something in your own character, but because of what someone else gave you as a scene partner on set, you were able to reach that thing?
Absolutely. I can think about our first day back on set, and Mariama was one of my biggest, just emotionally draining scenes. I'm crying, I'm running around, and she's pushing me in the sweetest way, but also pushing me, wanting me to get to this point where Jasmine is really struggling, and her comfort and her guidance was genuinely just invaluable. It helped me for the rest of shooting. And of course, we have to talk about this, Mariama. We went into the craziest scene first day back on Tavaster, but she was so amazing. And then I can't even begin to talk about Regina the Hall, because she really is just a light. I mean, I think our most tender moments were in the makeup trailer, or passing each other, going to our trailers, this sense of community and love. And Regina had only known me at that point for like maybe a couple of days, but I felt like she had my back, and she really did. And I even on set, I remember feeling like I was really walking side by side Regina Hall, and it's still to this day I'm not sure how to process it, but I'm trying. And all of these moments are setting it in stone, so they're amazing. They really are.
Hearing about community on set like that always makes me very happy. I have to let you all go soon, but I'll squeeze in one more here. Mariama, I was reading in the press notes that someone had emphasized how good you are at using your imagination to solve problems. So obviously that made me wonder, can you give us, I guess, a non-spoiler example of doing that on this film? Like a day that didn't go to plan, or resource you couldn't afford, or whatever it was, but you came up with the creative solution to still make it work, and maybe work better than what you had originally planned before.
Yeah. So as you can imagine, the need for that kind of skill set was immense. And there are a bunch of examples coming to mind, but like for one, one that was tough and it all worked out was that there was a scene that we needed to shoot, and because of COVID, our actor was not available, and the location then was no longer available. So but it was a very, very important scene, and really important to the film. So it's not like something that we could just let go. So we needed to figure out a way to shoot the scene in one of the, locations that we still had left to go. And I do think that it made it better. I rewrote the scene, I basically got home that night and, thought, okay, well, we have this scene happening here. I need to transpose it to another location with all of these same people, so I need to, come up with a compelling reason that they would all be gathered, because it was like a few people. And I'm so happy. Like, I'm so happy that we weren't able to shoot in our original location, and the scene itself changed, and I like it so much more.
I'm so curious specifically what that is. We'll have to save that for another time when Master comes out. I got a million more questions I could ask you all right now, but you have a very busy Sundance schedule. So I will say thank you for spending some time with us, and huge congratulations on Master.